I am working on a theological music video, and it is about Jesus practicing Hanukkah, which is the Feast of Dedications, which is found in John 10:22. This is why I own menorahs. And I do know now why there are 9 or 8 branches. And I think it has to do with Maccabees. Maccabees 1 and 2 is located not in the Protestant Bibles, but in the Roman Catholic Bibles. And there's one called The Lady on the Red Dragon. There's like all these different chapters, and I think there's maybe 13 something 40. I'm ranting. I didn't do my research on how many extra books the Catholic Bible has, but it has more. I know because I've held one a few times, and I looked through it and went, this is like wild. I've never seen these chapters, these books before. But anyhow, so I think that's why some Jewish folks have 8 branches. I still don't understand the 9. Jesus was definitely practicing the Feast of Dedications. I don't know how many branches he had there, but I'm going based off the book of Revelation and, like I said, the book of Exodus, and he definitely practiced it. That's why I practice it. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Cornelius and the significance of Cornelius at that time. And mostly this whole video is going to be about how Christianity is Jewish, and the fact that a lot of Christians' hearts are very hard right now, especially with this whole thing happening politically. Cornelius was a Gentile. He was God-fearing. At this time, Apostle Paul and Peter were having a debate about whether or not the Gentiles were worthy of Jesus Christ, of knowing the God of Israel, because the Gentiles were dirty. I should say just are. And they eat pork and they, whatever it is, not circumcised, all the other things. So the circumcision of the heart is really important. It means you're soft in your heart, right? And you have the heart outside is gone. And I believe our hearts as Christians is extremely hard and not circumcised toward the Jewish folks. We believe, I don't know, when I say we, I mean just a hardcore believers in replacement theology, which is anti-Semitic. What year was it that we became Israel? That's what I want to know. Where does the Bible say you are now Israel and you replace the Jewish people? And we're the same people who go, anybody and everybody can be saved until the day Jesus returns, but not the Jews. That's really weird, because that sounds a lot like Apostle Paul and Peter's conversation. So it's kind of reversed. In comes Cornelius, speaking in tongues, clearly demonstrating the effects that the Holy Spirit has on you. Confirmation through the other people who have the Holy Spirit, because Holy Spirit's poured out. I'll put it on the screen. Jesus entered the room of Cornelius, and this reminds me a lot of Clavin. Andrew Clavin is a Jew who was, I think, once Jewish, whom became a Christian, and Jesus showed up in his room. And this is how he became a Christian, is he had this amazing experience where he asked for God to reveal himself to him. Asking you will receive. It's amazing. So here we are as Christians being Pharisees, which usually shouldn't have a negative connotation, but for Christians it means you're a hardcore believer in the law, so much so that you will follow God in such a zealous way you'll cut throats. Like, I will cut throats to follow God, which, by the way, not really following God. You know what I mean? But humans have a really great way of just chasing down that good thing until it becomes an evil act. I don't know how we do it, but it's an easy thing for us to do. We're crazy. Anyhow, so we're sitting around our tables going, well, the time for the Jews has passed. They, according to these people, have killed Jesus, according to the people who believe in replacement theology. And it always boils down to that. It always boils down to, well, I don't think they're good enough. They're Jesus's tribe. Maybe only he can judge them. If he hasn't returned yet, then they still have a chance, because they're people too. Why is it welcome to everybody else to come to Jesus Christ, but not the Jew? Why? And I understand that we know the aversion they have. They have an aversion. They have a hardness of their heart toward Jesus. I get that. And believe me, if I had to be exposed as much as they have to be exposed with our culture, with the love of Christmas and all the things that don't really represent the Easter bunny, I'm sure we look ridiculous to them, especially the idols outside of our churches. I mean, talk about one good reason not to enter a church is the idol outside. I understand why. But Apostle Paul said, Romans 25, that we are not to be ignorant and conceited, because the fullness of the Gentiles have to come in first before the Jews are saved. So we're not supposed to be conceited. And I think it sounds really conceited to say that we're good enough, which when we know, I mean, isn't that part of the hazing process of becoming a Christian, is knowing you're not good enough, knowing you're a sinner? But the Jews can't come to Jesus. And it's always, well, they already reject him because they probably don't know the whole story. They don't. And it's just like anything else. Have you ever had something presented to you over and over again, and at some point your eyes glaze over and you just stop listening? I think that they just need a new way to be approached. But the first step is the Holy Spirit. 100%. You got to pray the Holy Spirit over them. And it's a very scary experience sometimes. Holy Spirit can really shake you up. So I think that's step number one. We're depending too much on our own ability to bring logic to another person and the truth and the obviousness of who Jesus is to people, but also we're kind of swimming in that air. You know what I mean? We're breathing in it. We're always in it. So to us, of course, it's obvious to us. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be Christians. So if you invest in just honing in on certain points, you know, maybe angles, maybe the Afikomen, or certain aspects of maybe Judaism or traditional beliefs and traditions, rituals like Hanukkah, and just thread the needle, thread it through Old Testament, meaning the Torah, into the prophets, into the New Testament. Jesus was on a mountain in the Transfiguration. The prophets, who is Elijah, and Moses, who is the law. He's threading it through. And that's what you have to do. You have to thread it through. And it's not the logic. It's not, I don't believe it's going to be PowerPoints. I think it's going to be the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit understands your perception language, or the language of your perception. It knows how your reality is woven together, and it knows how to seep into the fibers of that reality. That's what we have to depend on, is not on ourselves and our own ability to articulate points or say, hey, the sky is blue. I mean, look up, the sky is blue. I mean, it's a little frantic for me because I feel like this has to happen because I'm trying to go home, you know? And I really believe that the 144,000 could be within our time frame. I'm looking at Israel right now, and I see a lot of foreshadowing. A lot, like the captives being set free. I don't know, is anybody else feeling that? Anybody, Holy Spirit feeling, folks see what's happening in Israel and feel like the armies surrounding Israel, the captives being taken in, you remember, like Jacob's trouble, and then they're set free after a while. I don't know. But anyway, this is Linda of Christ is King forever. May God be with you.